Okay, so this is some context. This is Act 3, Scene 2. This is after Caesar has died. And the basic context of this is they've decided they need to explain how Caesar died, obviously, right? Because he's the fucking king. And so they have to explain to all of the people of Rome, like, oh, why is your king dead? Well, here's what we did. And this is the senators, so they're also members of the government. And basically, they're like, okay, Brutus is going to give a speech, and they pick Brutus because he's someone who's so close to Caesar, and they're like, it's a political decision. They're like, Brutus will make sense to be the person who gives this speech and calms the people of Rome. And Brutus' speech, it's not bad, it's all right. But what they agree to do, so that they don't seem biased, and Marc Antony also kind of manipulates them into this, they let Marc Antony speak after Brutus to orate at Caesar's funeral, and they give him one condition. Well, other than that he has to go after Brutus. The condition that they give him is essentially that he cannot speak against them. And this is why this is one of the sexiest speeches I've ever read. Because he keeps that while inciting a riot. He never explicitly says a single thing against them, because he is a fucking master manipulator. The manipulation in this speech literally starts at word number 1. And this is the super famous Friends, Romans, Countrymen speech. And the reason I'm saying manipulation starts at word number 1 is because the first line of Brutus's speech is actually incredibly similar. It's Romans, countrymen, and lovers is what Brutus greets them with. Versus Antony's friends, Romans, countrymen. He is calling them friends first. He is relating to them personally, which, you know, audience effect. I literally wrote an essay on this speech. It's fucking incredible. So when I'm reading it, there's a lot of parts where there's, like, citizens responding, like call and response. And I'm going to be skipping those citizen lines, but I will probably let you know when they are. And I can't guarantee that I will do a lot of this really well, because the part that I know, like, super well is the very beginning, but it is a long speech, which is why this is going to go on YouTube. Like, we're already at, like, 2 minutes. Anyway. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously hath Caesar answered it. Here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honorable man. So are they all honorable men. Come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me, but Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. He hath brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? When the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff, yet Brutus says he was ambitious. And Brutus is an honorable man. You all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and sure, he is an honorable man. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? O judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason. Bear with me. My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pause till it come back to me. Citizen speech that I'm skipping here. But yesterday, the word of Caesar might have stood against the world. Now he lies there, and none so poor to do him reverence. Oh, masters, if I were disposed to stir your hearts and minds to mutiny and rage, I should do Brutus wrong and Cassius wrong, who you all know are honorable men. I will not do them wrong. I rather choose to wrong the dead, to wrong myself and you, than I will wrong such honorable men. But here's a parchment with the seal of Caesar. I found it in his closet. 'Tis his will. Let but the commons hear this testament, which, pardon me, I do not mean to read. And they would go and kiss dead Caesar's wounds, and dip their napkins in his sacred blood. Yea, beg a hair of him for memory, and dying, mention it within their wills, bequeathing it as a rich legacy unto their issue. And then the citizens beg Marc Antony to read Caesar's will. Have patience, gentle friends, I must not read it. It is not meet, you know how Caesar loved you. You are not wood, you are not stones, but men. And being men, hearing the will of Caesar, it will inflame you, it will make you mad. 'Tis good that you know not that you are his heirs, for if you should, oh, what would come of it? Begging again. Will you be patient? Will you stay a while? I have o'ershot myself to tell you of it. I fear I wrong the honorable men whose daggers have stabbed Caesar's. I do fear it. The citizens start to call them traitors and doubt the honorability of the men, and then beg for the will again. You will compel me then to read the will? Then make a ring about the corpse of Caesar, and let me show you him that made the will. Shall I descend? And will you give me leave? They say, yeah, I'll give you leave, come down. If you have tears, prepare to shed them now. You all do know this mantle. I remember the first time ever Caesar put it on. 'Twas on a summer evening in his tent, the day he overcame the Nervi. Look, in this place ran Cassius's dagger through. See what a rent the envious Casca made. Through this, the well-beloved Brutus stabbed. And as he plucked his cursed steel away, mark how the blood of Caesar followed it, as rushing out of doors to be resolved, if Brutus so unkindly knocked or no. For Brutus, as you know, was Caesar's angel. Judge, O you gods, how dearly Caesar loved him. This was the most unkindest cut of all. For when the noble Caesar saw him stab, ingratitude, more strong than traitors' arms, quite vanquished him. Then burst his mighty heart. And in his mantle, muffling up his face, even at the base of Pompey's statue, which all the while ran blood, great Caesar fell. Oh, what a fall was there, my countrymen! Then I and you and all of us fell down, whilst bloody treason flourished over us. Oh, now you weep, and I perceive you feel the dint of pity. These are gracious drops. Kind souls, what weep you, when you but behold our Caesar's vesture wounded? Look you here. Here is himself, marred as you see with traitors. Citizens saying that, oh shit, why'd he die? I mean, it's more emotional than that, but stay, countrymen. Good friends, sweet friends, let me not stir you up to such a sudden flood of mutiny. They that have done this deed are honorable. What private griefs they have, alas, I know not, that made them do it. They are wise and honorable, and will no doubt with reasons answer you. I come not, friends, to steal away your hearts. I am no orator, as Brutus is, but, as you all know me well, a plain but blunt man, that love my friend, and that they know full well, that gave me public leave to speak of him. For I have neither wit nor words nor worth, action nor utterance nor power of speech to stir men's blood. I only speak right on. I tell you that which you yourselves do know, show you sweet Caesar's wounds, poor, poor dumb mouths, and bid them speak for me. But were I Brutus, and Brutus Antony there were an Antony, would ruffle up your spirits and put a tongue in every wound of Caesar that should move the stones of Rome to rise in mutiny. Why, friends, you go to do what you know not what. Wherein hath Caesar thus deserved your loves? Alas, you know not, I must tell you then. You have forgot the will I told you of. Moreover, wait, did I skip a line? Oh, wait, yeah, I did. Here is the will, and under Caesar's seal, to every Roman citizen he gives, to every several man, 75 drachmas. Moreover, he hath left you all his walks, his private arbors, and new planted orchards. On this side Tiber he hath left them for you. And to your heirs, forever, common pleasures, to walk abroad and recreate yourselves. Here was a Caesar. When comes such another? So this is a fucking incredible speech. You could probably notice, like, repeatedly the mantra of, oh, but they were honorable men, which is, like, so clearly, like, such a mocking thing. Like, he's reinforcing that they're lying, and he's doubting it by, like, contrasting it. Him saying honorable is not just mocking, it's also, like, his safety net. He didn't ever speak against them. In fact, he actively spoke in favorable of them, but he did so really weakly while subtly hinting in there. He's like, you know, this doesn't make a lot of sense. And I'm really wondering, oh, but I can't. I shouldn't say it. I shouldn't. That's what he's doing this whole speech. He's insisting that he's not a good orator to get them on his side so that the audience feels he isn't manipulating them, all the while he is, which is fucking incredible. And at the same time, by calling Brutus that orator and insisting, like, oh, if I were Brutus and Brutus were me, you know, then I would be able to rile you guys up. He's implying to them that Brutus is the one manipulating them. It's a fucking brilliant speech, bringing up the will and being like, oh, look at this. Here's actual proof. Oh, but I shouldn't tell you. I really shouldn't. It doesn't matter. It'll just make you guys upset. I shouldn't do it. Because he knows the result. He knows what that outcome is going to be, that they're going to beg for it. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to bring it up. In the first line, I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. That's also such a fucking incredible line. The like, I'm not here to, you know, hype this man up. I'm here just to orate him because I'm speaking at his funeral. I'm here to eulogize. This is someone I cared about. It makes him seem unbiased, like he's someone who just really loved this dude, even though in reality this is a political speech. God, I hate this man, both like the actual Narc Antony, I'm saying Narc on purpose, and the one in fiction. Like, I hate him. This is such a good speech. Anyway, that last line, here was a Caesar, when comes such another. The reason I brought up this speech wasn't just because it's incredible, but because of the last thing Marc Antony says in this whole play. This is the last page that we're on in the whole book. Brutus is the last of the conspirators to die, and after he dies, this is what Antony says. This was the noblest Roman of them all. All the conspirators, save only he, did that they did in envy of great Caesar. He only, in a general honest thought and common good to all, made one of them. His life was gentle, and the elements so mixed in him that nature might stand up and say to all the world, this was a man. Sorry, I know I'm the one reading it, but like literally I get goosebumps when I read that. Like the echo between here was a Caesar, when comes such another, and this was a man. Because at the end of the day, that's what Brutus was. He wasn't a politician conspiring to kill Caesar. That's what every other conspirator was, and Antony acknowledges that Brutus, in the end, regardless of his own intentions, was a pawn. He was manipulated into action to kill someone that he loved and cared about. And yes, that is an insane betrayal, which Antony points out in his speech, that Caesar loved Brutus as a son, as a brother, as a friend. This is someone who was family to him, who was important to him, and was the last person to stab a wound in him. And the idea that, like, that is what killed Caesar. Not the knife, the betrayal, the pain. And he comes back to it later and says, you know, despite what I said, Brutus really believed in it. It wasn't envy, it wasn't jealousy. It was that he genuinely wanted good for the people of Rome. He truly thought he was doing what was best. And it ate Brutus up. Like, to be clear, Brutus he literally kills himself. He isn't killed by a conspirator. He commits suicide because he's so haunted by his own actions. He starts seeing the ghost of Caesar, but it's like there's this implication that it's not really there. It's a hallucination, and it's a manifestation of his own guilt because he regrets his actions even though he did them with goodness in mind. And just, I don't know, there's something about that contrast of Antony saying nature itself would look at him and say this was a man, because he's not a politician, he's not a manipulator, he's just a man doing what he thought was right. I'm not generally a Shakespeare fan, but I, like, deeply and desperately want, like, a faithful but, like, modern linguistic adaptation of Julius Caesar so that people can, like, understand why it's so impactful, because, like, the language is dense and hard to understand because we don't speak like this anymore, and it's so just, like, impactful and thoughtful and, like, gives you cause to actually think about the moral quandaries that it poses. Like, it's not just a tragedy or just a history, you know? Like, it's a tragedy because everybody dies, and it's a history because it's a historical play. But it also makes you think about the issue, because it's the question of whether absolute power corrupts absolutely. Like, is he a dictator just because he has the power? Or do you need to do wrong first to be a dictator? I don't know. It's really interesting, and the emotions are really there. I guess before I, turn off this video, I'll also grab the death of Caesar for you. I have all of Brutus's lines highlighted because this was the copy I used in high school, and I read for Brutus in our class. Ugh. Sorry, I'm reading some of these and it absolutely kills me. Anyway, where is my man's stuff? Okay. Sorry you have to watch me just sitting here reading, but I'm trying to make sure I'm reading from a good point so that you get some context. Okay, I'm going to start at Caesar's last speech right before they stab him. I could be well moved if I were as you. If I could pray to move, prayers would move me. But I am constant as the northern star, of whose true fixed and resting quality there is no fellow in the firmament. The skies are painted with unnumbered sparks, they are all fire, and every one doth shine. But there's one in all doth hold its place. So in the world 'tis furnished well with men, and men are flesh and blood and apprehensive, yet in the number I do know but one, that unassailable holds on his rank, unshaked of motion, and that I am he. Let me a little show it, even in this, that I was constant, Cimber should be banished, and constant do remain to keep him so. And then Cinna says, O Caesar, and Caesar interrupts, hence! Wilt thou lift up Olympus? Decius interrupts, great Caesar, Caesar, doth not Brutus bootless kneel? Casca, speak hands for me. They stab Caesar, Brutus last. Caesar, et tu, Brute? Then fall Caesar. And then he dies. Et tu, Brute, then fall Caesar, it literally would be like, if even you are stabbing me, then let me fall indeed. Again, that idea of it's not the wounds, it's Brutus. Basically, the reason they end up stabbing him and going through with it is because that last speech, he's being a fucking narcissist, and he's like, I am a constant, I'm not going to change my mind, I'm fucking right on this. I'm the North fucking Star, and you guys are the stars swirling around in the heavens. And the, like, would you seek to move Olympus? That's him being haughty and narcissistic. Yeah, so that's why they end up doing it. But also, he's repeatedly warned. The Ides of March shit literally happens in scene 1. Like, that he is warned that he's going to be killed, and he just refuses to listen over and over again. So it's also, there's a moral quandary of that. There's multiple. Like, every single character has this insane arc of, like, questionable morality. I don't know, it's interesting. This is a 20-minute video, though, so I'm gonna let you go. Have fun.